Hi Julia, what's here? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to have another look at the Sentimentally Yours Festive collection and the festive frames, festive fancy frames, and we're going to be using the Snowflake Diamond. Not sure if we've got any stock left, but I just thought I'd make this video anyway. I did intend to make lots and lots of videos with these, but hospital visit put paid to that, so this may well be the last video that I do with this particular collection. Right, as I said, we're using the Snowflake Diamond, but we've got, well, we'd get the backing pieces ready so they can actually flatten. We're also going to use the pierced Festive Poinsettias and the pierced Holly Sprigs. I know I've sold out of that. You will find the new frames and the poinsettias over on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, and you will find everything at the moment over at Honeypot Crafts too. Right, so let's just put this aside for a moment, and we're making an A5 card, and it's going to be what's it called, portrait one. So I've got an A5 card, and I've done some back layers using the Magnificence rectangles. So I've just used these two layers here, and I've cut the back layer out of Silver Mirror card. There's my camera, and there's me, hello. And I have cut the next layer out of pure white card, and I've embossed it with the gorgeous 3D embossing folder, the 8x8 Festive Poinsettias. And as I record this, I do have one of these left. I might get some more embossing folders in, I haven't decided yet. Right, so let's just glue these two together so they can be sticking together and flattening out. When you, honestly, I unbung them and they bung them. This weather drives me nuts. What was I going to say? Nothing important. Oh yes, it is important actually. So when you are embossing with the 3D embossing folders, we do recommend that you spritz both sides of your card before passing it through the machine. That way the fibres in the card can easily bend in and out of the very, very deep emboss that you get with these new folders. I think it's particularly deep on this one and with the Holly Boughs one. They've been super, 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 super popular, as we knew they would. And I do hope that you do get hold of the fancy frames very quickly, because they are limited edition. They won't be reordered. In fact, none of the festive collection will be reordered, but the quantities are smaller on the festive frames because they're not on TV. They're only available from Honeypot Crafts and myself. Let's see whether I've done this straight or not. Very slidey on the Silver Mirror. And the Silver Mirror is the Honeypot Crafts one that I'm using. I've got it all pressed out. Obviously it doesn't need to be double-sided mirror card. Complete utter waste. So I'm going to put that underneath my MDF sheet while we get the actual card ready. So using the Snowflake, see, I thought we'd change it up, and we are going to change it. I think I've mentioned this before. We are going to change it, so instead of looking at snowflakes, we're going to look at poinsettia, and maybe the holly leaves are going to come in as well. So to cut this fancy frame, all you need to do is run this one through the machine on its own, and then you get that. And I have mentioned before that I would show you how to get it out of the card. Some card it comes out of quite quickly, especially if you're cutting it from some of the new papers. But because of all the fronds on the snowflakes, you need to give it a little bit of a kind of a flex, if you like, to detach these fronds from the main card. And I just thought it might be useful to show you, because it's not that it hasn't cut, you just need to manipulate it a little bit and try not to damage those fine snowflake bronze. I do run it through my machine a few times with the metal cutting plate. So that one's coming out there. You just need to be very patient with it. And it's the same when you're cutting out the Nordic snowflakes as well. So that's come out nicely. And then obviously you can then just go through and poke out the other bits. And you will probably find some, after you've poked, you'll probably find some that you've missed, because that's what happens. But you can see it's all coming out nicely, no problem. If you do find that things kind of tighten up and are quite hard to get out of the actual die itself, then just run the die through with a piece of greaseproof paper in between the card and the die, and then that will make that particular die cut come out quite quickly, and you get a very delicate greaseproof paper frame as well. But then that's lubricated your die for the next however many cuts. But I mean, Phil's dies are very good because they're Teflon coated. So that's all the poking out needed. And there's the snowflake frame. So I've got a spare one there. So just as I promised before, I would do that. And although I forget a lot of things, I thought I'd actually remember to do that for you. Right, so to cut the backer out itself, and I've shown you this before, but what you do is you pop this on your card, secure it with some low tack tape, then you pop your decorative die in. It will only go in one way. Check that the channel is even all the way around. Then you grab the funny shape one that pops in the middle, and again check your channels are even, and then you low tack tape that as well, and then you can fetch out this one, and then you run your piece of card through your machine like so. So it's not rocket science, it's really, really easy. And obviously if you want to, you can cut this central one out in something different and slot that in, so you could perhaps have a pattern paper or a different embossing folder in the centre, or if you've used pattern paper on your background, then the white in the centre actually is quite nice to set it off. So whatever, you know, to coordinate. Okay, so that's that. So let's get these two pieces stuck together, and we'll bring in my scabby craft sheet. I use for my glue. And I was watching Phil, I noticed he does this a different way to me, but you know, it doesn't really matter if it works, does it? Right, I like to paint my brush glue onto my craft sheet. Okay. Got glue on my fingers now. Just need to have enough for me to dip my frame in. That should be fine. Hear the pigeons. There's always a noise of some sort going on. I've got a lot of pigeons. Pigeons are quite funny. And let's figure out which way that is. That's that goes on that way. So we just drop that in there like so. Oh, there's a bit I haven't poked out there. I did say to you, didn't I, that you spot bits that you don't poke out. That's going to annoy me now. Let's put this to one side for a moment. Somewhere. And let's see if we can get this on straight away, because he's going onto mirror. I don't want to move it around. It's not perfect. And while we're at it, we get the sentiment on as well. Obviously you can have it whichever way you want. You could have it on the slant like that, which I haven't got round to doing yet. I have done one that way. But yes. Let's get the festive cheer done. So you get a different sentiment with this as you do with the poinsettia oval. Poinsettia oval, I think, is Christmas wishes, I think, if I remember rightly. It's been a few days since I've touched these, obviously. And you get that little heart above the eye, which is really cute. There's some little air bubbles of glue in there, so I'm just going to get rid of those. And pop that. On there. Cute. Right, I have got a little bit of that coming up, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of that glue. I missed a bit. Now I've got glue there. Right, so we've got some poinsettias as well, so we just get those all shaped. I've cut these out of the, let me just check the name of it, it's a Lustre card. It is called Rose Petal Lustre card. I thought it might be nice to have a pastel set of poinsettias, and the gems I'm using are called Sugar Pink. Both you can find over at Honeypot Crafts. So these are the pierced festive poinsettias. So we're just going to shape these. Down the middle. Shape this one. Stick them together. Just for a second or two before we put the gem in. And I've got my holly sprigs, which I have cut out using the, let me check, I don't often use the Lustre card, not the pastels. Oh, fresh mint, really pretty. That lovely pierced detail around the edge. So we've got those. I'm not sure whether I'm using those or not. I think I am, but they're there if I make my mind up. So let's grab our embossed background. I'm sure that, I mean, I know a lot of you have got the festive collection now, the baubles, and you can see from that you can make lots of these really elegant cards, you know, mantle pieces or wherever they are, showstoppers, using those very quickly. And same with the frames. The frames are, you know, jobs are good, and you don't even need to. You can just use that as is, perhaps pop a gem in the centre and your sentiment, and you've got a card. You don't need to do very much at all with them. So we've got some 2mm foam tape here. some print on the back. Talking to myself. No idea what I'm doing. Where's my card gone? There it is. Put this on. See if I can get it straight. And then we get our frame on. I think we'll put foam tape on the back of this as well. Just put a tiny bit here. Right. I need to decide where I'm going to do with this. So I need to put some on here as well. So we want to decide where we're going to have the big ones at the bottom, I think, because we've got two big ones here. So we're going to obviously have it on there like that. So we just need to decide where we want the sentiment. Do we want the sentiment perhaps down here, which I do quite like, or we could have it in the centre, which I really like as well. But then we've got to be very careful where we put the poinsettias. I do actually like it in the middle. Should we do that? Let's do that. Then we'll put pearls around. Right, so now we know where we're going to put the sentiment. So it's a good idea to know where you want to put the sentiment before you actually put the frame on, because it will impact your decision as to how high to put it up. I'll put some more print on the back of this. Just so we can move it around if we need to. Let's have a look. Big ones at the bottom. I think that's about right. And that's where it's going anyway. I think we'll add just a little bit more foam tape to this, so that it's a little bit higher than the frame. And then we know where we can put the poinsettias. Festive cheer. That's where it's going. Right, it's fab, doesn't it? So you can obviously, you could stop there. Like I say, you could just put, you probably wouldn't put poinsettias on the back if you were doing the snowflakes, but use it, we want either the Nordic snowflakes or the beaded snowflake embossing folders. But anyway, so you could just put a gem in the centre of each. Job's a good one. You're good. Let's pop our gem in the centre here. And as I said, I think I've looked these up, and I think these are called sugar pink. But of course, I must have had these before all the labels were printed. Glue in the centre of this one. So we're just going to place them to begin with, because I need to decide what I want to do with my holly sprigs. pearl which would work very well as well is the rose petal pearls. See, they would go quite nicely as well. But we went for gems. Right, so we're gonna have, we'll have the big one will go down here. And we've got another, oops, stuck, big one here. Again, it doesn't matter if we see a little bit of the snowflakes. So see, some of them are paired up completely and some of them I haven't. I should have that one up there. Not on there. See, it changes it completely. You just cover it up with the poinsettias. Link it on there. Put it on there. Looks fabulous, doesn't it? Fabulous. Right, so let's take these holly sprigs and see if we want to actually add any of these in. I think we might. It's a case of where. That might be quite nice. I think we need another variety. Make sure I don't cover up the sentiment. Pretty. And we might want some, you want the bigger one down here maybe? Let's just, before we start hacking about with it. That'll work, won't it? And then we could put the other one. Yep, sorry about the camera. The other one could go up here maybe. Just chop the stem off. I think that's what we need. I think that looks good. Right. So what we'll do is we'll actually get those leaves on first. Get rid of that stem. I just thought it'd be useful to see that you don't, just because it's got snowflakes on it, you don't have to actually accept that it's the snowflakes. And the same with the poinsettia oval as well. You could put snowflakes on there instead of poinsettias if you want to. Should we do all the leaves first? No, let's do the poinsettia. We'll put the poinsettia on first. Big one goes up there like so. It'll help to anchor the leaves. And we want this one here. Takes a while to obviously grab because it's on the mirror. We can put this one on. It's nice in the pastel colours, isn't it? Obviously you could just do this in red and a darker green if you wanted to be more traditional. You could use gold mirror card rather than silver. The options are there and they are all yours, which is fabulous, isn't it? Are you going to stick, matey? Or are you going to be awkward? I'm going to be awkward. There we go. Pretty. And do this big one next. don't need to get rid of that stem on that one. Never goes back down quite the same, because that's what happens, but this is near as. I'm not going to bother putting any gems on the berries, on the holly, because I don't want to. Let's go with the festive a bit. Let's move that up a bit. That's stuck. No glue on that yet. Right, last one. So, where do we want that? And that one there. Sometimes it's just nice to actually angle these so you can see a little bit of the snowflake underneath. That's pretty. I'm happy with that. Doesn't that look posh? Right, we're just going to finish this off with a gem in each corner as per, just so the corners don't look blank. I do hope you'll try changing your frames up a little bit, changing the look of them. And don't forget, you can use the new poinsettias and snowflakes and things with the fancy frames from last year, if you were lucky enough to get those. If you weren't lucky enough, you'd better make sure that you get these, because I know a lot of people missed out last year and they desperately want last year's, but you know, they're gone. That's the thing with the limited edition, which this is a limited edition. Once they are gone, they are gone, because it wouldn't be a limited edition if you could keep on getting it and getting it, would it? Makes it more special. But you know, what a wow, huh? What a wow. Let's just check my gems are all nice and straight. Well, that's not straight, Julia, nowhere near. Pigeon's at it again. Let's have that one over a bit. Oh, too much. I think that's good. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just stunning? I'm very happy with the way that's turned out. I hope you like it too, and as I said, do try it. Do leave me a comment, because I do love to see your comments. I want to know that this is actually worthwhile me doing, because I need to see that you're watching me. As I said, you will find the products over on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, and also over at honeypotcrafts.co.uk too. And there is a full list of what I've used in the description of this video. Do like and subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Do love to read your comments, as I've said, and thank you for watching.